Let's wait for everybody to get here. I'm so sick of the cold.
Me too.
It was like we finally had some warm weather and now we're back to 40s again.
Yep.
Not happy about it. Oh man. I'm at my desktop today. What's up, Sal?
How's it going?
How you doing?
Doing all right.
All right, yeah, I'll have to move this over here. See if when everybody gets here, hopefully people come. Jillian!
Hello.
How's life?
I'm good. How are you?
Hanging in there?
Me too.
Living the dream at home all the time? I was at school yesterday for very briefly, and that literally the only time I've left the house in the last 2 weeks. Yeah, it's pretty lame. Oh, it is nice to see people registering for the fall, though. I feel like, oh, maybe we will actually have a school in the fall. Yeah. You guys registering now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
John,
Hey, Paul.
you guys listen to those tracks?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And I tried so hard to find a Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg video without women in bikinis, and it was really impossible. It just doesn't exist. So I sent the audio only. I was hoping. And then I posted it on Blackboard. So it's on Blackboard if you look at that. All right, let's see. Hopefully more people will show up here. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 8 people so far. How are your other classes going?
Not bad.
Pretty well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's crazy. We only have 3 more weeks after this.
Yeah, that is crazy.
It's only 3 more weeks?
Yeah.
Is it really? Oh my God. I didn't know where we were in the semester, so that's crazy.
Are you guys doing more or less work now than you were doing?
More.
Really?
Or
I am doing more work.
Wow.
2 of my professors are treating it like we're just right on schedule with everything back to normal. So, like, you know, every assignment's still up. Every group project's still up.
So I was browsing memes.
Yeah. It's surprising because they explicitly told us that we should like go easy on you, you know.
Not my professors.
Which I've been
Yeah.
trying to do.
Not mine
Is
either.
it? I'm going easy on you, right?
Yeah, no, this is this is fine. Like if all my classes were like this, it'd be
Yeah.
very manageable. But I think I have like 2 or 3 papers due this week by Friday.
Really?
Same.
And I have a group presentation tomorrow.
Wow.
And yeah, a few other things I'm probably forgetting because I'm not super organized.
It's hard. I don't. You know, I've started to. I mean, I know you guys are getting a million emails a day too, so it's like
Yeah.
I feel like where are people reading my emails, and it's just like too many. So you know what I've started doing? I've started putting the relevant material in the subject, just so you can.
That's
that way,
perfect.
at least you see it, and you're like, oh, class today or assignment due tomorrow. I've been putting that like in the subject line. Just yeah. Anyways. Yeah, there's some people that we just never see. I don't know. Has anyone talked to Emma? I haven't talked to Emma since school ended. Yeah. Same with Aiden. Aiden's another who I have not heard from since school ended.
Really?
Emma Grab?
Actually, that's not true. He sent me 1 email.
You're talking about Emma Grab?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've talked to her.
No,
a few
not Emma
times.
Grab.
Oh,
Emma.
Emma Story?
Yeah, Emma Story in our class.
No.
She goes to recording.
Huh.
yeah, she said she was gonna come to this today. I don't
Oh, she
know.
did.
Yes.
Man, I would love to see her. I haven't seen her once. I didn't know if she was still alive. Aiden's another. Clara, you should text Aiden right now and say, Paul Leary's asking where you are. What?
Your
Get
ass
to
sounds good.
class.
Yeah.
He's definitely alive, I can tell you that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, we got 10 people now out of 16. So, all right. Well, let me also. All right. So we have decided. Let me share my desktop here. So you can see my computer, yeah?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So I just shared a file with you. Okay. And that has to do with, hopefully you guys had a chance to listen to these songs because I don't want to listen to them now because they'll sound terrible for you, obviously. But please listen to these 3 songs that I posted for today. They're all excellent, and I think they're really different. So we'll talk about them some today. But I also want to talk here about our final projects, okay? Since we're doing this online, does that actually work in terms of Zooming? It does, right?
Yeah.
So your final project, you have an option here, okay? Either you can present a 20-minute presentation to the class via Zoom, which I have to say is my preference. I definitely would prefer this. Just because it's more fun for everyone and it's enriching for everyone instead of just writing a paper. Or you can write a paper, 12 to 15 pages.
Oh my
What?
God.
No.
Jesus Christ.
Did you make it that long so no one would write a paper?
Yeah, seriously.
No, I just want to give it 12 pages is long?
Yeah.
A little bit long.
And you guys.
Six.
We
Okay,
didn't go
anyway.
to PhD school.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. We didn't have to write a dissertation yet, so.
I mean, I'll change it to 10 pages. How's that? But anyways, I would definitely prefer that you do presentations instead. Obviously, I think it's more fun and engaging for everyone. But not everyone feels comfortable doing that on Zoom or feels like they have the capability of really doing that. So
Stage fright is going to cripple me.
I have to say, it's been hard. I feel that way a little bit. Like when I first started making videos, I was like, I was really nervous about doing it. You know? So anyway, so these are your options, and this is on Blackboard, so please look at this. But basically, I'm just outlining a couple ideas. If you do a presentation, it could be about a specific band or musician. It could be about a specific genre of music. It could be about a specific instrumentation or technological change that was interesting. You could write about, you know, prog rock and synthesizers. You could write about, I don't know, glitch music or something, and talk about how that's made in a DAW, which using like failed audio files and stuff like that, and also, I don't know, there's just so much you could talk about. And then on top of that, I mean, these are just a couple ideas. If you want to write about anything else, or if you want to talk about something else, please let me know. If you're interested in some band that is really interested in social justice or something, you want to write about, you know, I don't know, you could write about that band, that Russian band that went to prison, Pussy Riot. Remember those girls?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that could be a great paper, right? Something about that whole situation, or a great presentation about that.
Don't they
So
always do
whatever, you know, whatever interests you, this is your project for the class, all right? And basically for the next 3 weeks, we have 3 weeks of class left. Every class, we're gonna start meeting Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you'll basically just hang out and watch people present, right? Bring some popcorn and a martini and hang out, okay?
Yes.
So hopefully that works for everybody. And I just, if you're planning to write a paper instead, you need to let me know soon, all right? I can't imagine that's any of you, but it might be, you know, if some people don't want to be on here, like, I mean, I can't, that's the thing, is I can't really require that everyone shows up to this. So if Aiden decides he's going to write a paper because he doesn't want to see your faces, then he obviously won't be presenting, okay? So a couple other things about the criteria about writing about your presentation. You must not spend more than 5 minutes playing music in your 20 minutes, okay? And again, I think the plan will be that you'll share a link and we'll go listen to the music while you're presenting in a way, because it's just, everyone will mute their microphone and play the song on their own computers, right? Just because it just sounds awful. There's no point in you playing a recording or me playing a recording to you on Zoom. It's just terrible, right? So you might say, go listen to the first 20 seconds of this song, right? and then everyone will listen to 20 seconds and then come back and we'll go on. All right. It'll be a little clunky, but that's the way it is. This is going to be clunky. Anyway, so I would recommend you play a song in full as opposed to 15 seconds of 10 songs. So, you know, there's not much value in hearing tiny little sound bites unless you're trying to illustrate something specific, right? You only have 20 minutes. I'd rather hear a couple of one full song and maybe a couple little samples than to just like get a whole collage of 15 or 20 songs in 20 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Okay. The next one, this one's kind of for Clara, but just because I know what her subject might be, but it might be for someone else too. Please be aware of your classmates. If you pick something really offensive, you must be responsible and careful about how you present it. Okay. So that's the thing, is like, I am not opposed to someone wanting to write a paper about, I don't know, you know, hardcore heavy metal that's about murdering children or something. That is a relevant subject, but you just have to be careful and respectful and try and present it in an adult way, right? In a respectful and a kind of responsible way. So you have to be, please be aware. Oh, look at that kitty. Man, that's a cute cat. Anyways, so and another thing too, like Clara, for instance, I know, Clara, are you still planning to do that same subject? Clara? What?
I may change. But.
Okay. Anyway, so Clara, just as an example, was really interested in talking about this guy who writes this crazy music, and it's incredibly offensive and sexually explicit.
He has tracks that aren't offensive.
Well, I'm just saying that it's a legitimate like subject because it is fascinating, the stuff that guy's doing, but at the same
have to do it still, but
right, you just have to be sensitive and smart and respectful about it, because people write about this stuff all the time, but you know, you just have to do it correctly, right? You have to do it as an adult and be responsible about it. Okay. Google Slides or PowerPoint are appreciated, especially because we're doing this online thing. So it's really useful to share your desktop and to, you know, have some slides and stuff to show people if you're talking about a specific band or what have you. Okay. So, and you know, these always turn out great. I really want you to do something that interests you, right? It's not about what I like. You know what I like, but the point of doing these is to get some new perspectives and other musics that I love this part because I always learn about a bunch of stuff I've never heard of, right? Or I learn of new things to hate. That happens sometimes too. So, anyways, and then this is due on the day that you sign up to present, okay? You don't turn anything in, you just show up and do your presentation, and that's your final grade, okay? Oh, I should be recording all this. Oh, I am recording it, aren't I?
Yeah.
I would have put my face on.
It says recording.
Ooh, thank God. Okay. Okay. Anyways, so that is the basic criteria. The criteria for option 2 is to write I'll change this to 10 to 15 pages, double-spaced research paper. See, that's the thing, is like some people get really into this and they have no problem writing a long paper. I'm surprised we don't. Brian's not here, but I would think Jamie wrote like a 3-page reflection on the Song Exploder thing, you know? I mean, you get excited about something and you're passionate about it, it's not hard to write 10 pages on something.
That was
Yeah.
a cool assignment.
I'm pretty
That's
sure
true.
Brian could write a dissertation on his opinions of music.
Yeah, you should read Brian's reflections. They're hilarious. Anyway, so, you know, so again, a specific band or genre, something, you know, about instrumentation or technology. You could literally write a paper about electric guitars, right? You could write a paper about amplifiers and tube amps, or, you know, you could write a paper about a specific producer. You could write a paper about Rick Rubin. You could write a paper or present. That's the thing too. You could present on this too. You could write present on David Byrne and his talking all the stuff he's done about music in the last 20 years. Anyway, so there's just, it's endless and it's up to you, but I would like to hear about what you're planning to do. Okay, so run any ideas by me just so I can, that's the thing too, is that we only have 20 minutes, right? If you're presenting, also if you're writing a paper. So, if you want to write, I want to write a paper about the history of popular music. Well, that's probably too much for a 15-page paper, right? So you want to, so if you're writing a paper, let me know so we can narrow it down. Other criteria, your paper must be at least have 5 sources. You must have a bibliography, 12-point double-spaced. And then this is due on Thursday, May 14th by 5 p.m. Okay? Who's that chunky cat?
What?
That's a cute cat.
It's fat.
Wish I could have
Okay,
that.
so any questions about that?
Yeah.
No? Yeah, Paul?
The project, like the PowerPoint there, do you need a bibliography for that as well?
No, you don't.
Okay, great.
You don't have to turn anything in either. You just come and present, but if we're doing 3 people a day, you have to be we only have 20 minutes. So I will cut you off if you go too long. All right. And it might help too, you could even send the links to the class a day early, and I'll send you everyone's email so that you can send it a day early if you want.
Does it
Gotcha.
have to be about like technological advances or like how they pioneered certain things or how they philanthropy? Or can it just be about like their specific style just being unique a little bit?
No, it doesn't have to be about, it could be, that's what I mean. It could be about the music itself, but it could also be about something that is not really about their music, right? It could be about, I'm trying to think of that one. I can't think of anything. There are specific bands, for instance, that are very political or not, or, have some other agenda. It could be about that, but you could also just talk about the music, which is totally fine. One thing that I would prefer with these presentations and papers is that, we're not in 7th grade anymore. And so book reports are cute and all, but I'd love to hear what you think about the music and talk about it more intellectually and more critically, like we've been doing in the class, right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, because I want to know what you think. Book reports are nice, and obviously we need some of that. You need some historical background. Some of you will present on people I've never heard of before. And so, talking about that, but, and the thing is too, feel free to engage the class in discussion if you want. Oh, that's a big cat. If you want to engage the class in the discussion, asking questions, that's totally fine as well. Like, but it's up to you how you run your 20 minutes.
Paul, Nick just texted me saying that he can't get into class with the new Zoom link you sent.
Really?
Yeah, so I don't know.
Huh. I sent it to him.
Yeah, he said I don't know. He had problems in recording. I don't really know what to do or tell him.
Well, that's the thing, is the rest of you are here, so.
I don't use the links. Like I always just go to like
Well, you know
Zoom.
what? Let me try this. Yeah, I can go to Zoom and just invite him, right?
Yeah, well, I go to Zoom and then I type in the number like at the end of the link, like the ID number.
Okay, I can also do this. Chat.
The link worked for me when I clicked it.
Yeah, well, most of you are here because of the link, no?
Yeah, I'm here because of the link.
No.
Hey, Clara.
Hi.
Miss you.
See, he's not showing up on here. I don't know why some people don't show up on my list here.
Hey Sal,
What's
Oh.
up?
got Ligma.
So, all right, guys. So you can see actually people are already entering their names on the last day.
Oh,
shit.
come
I
on.
just
Where is this?
slid right in.
I have shared a Google Drive.
Go, go, go.
I have shared a Google Doc for you, and all the dates are on here. Okay.
Can't believe I was snoozing.
Why can't Nick get in here?
I don't see a Google Doc.
Don't eat. No.
Let me try and share this with Nick again. Hold on. Home. Schedule. Oh no. Meetings.
Jenna, that's full that day.
Oh,
May 5th is all full.
shit. How do you find the Google Doc?
I go to share with me.
Is this Drive or Docs?
It's Google Drive. Either if you go to Google Drive, then just go to share with me and the document should be there. It's called Final Presentation Signups.
I got it.
I'll write on here, music 215.
Yeet. Ah, Jamie.
Jenna, are you in the doc?
Yes.
Can you
two-
toss my name down somewhere?
Excellent.
You want the latest date possible?
Put me down first. I'm gonna send it.
I'm just gonna delete Nick's May 7th now.
Jenna, you go. Oh, Clara's going first. Clara, you're going next week.
Oh, I'm going next. Yeah, I'm going next. I guess I'm going next week. I didn't know that was next week, but I'm going next week.
Paul,
There's
you
still other
picked it?
options.
No, I'm not a pussy.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Okay.
Alright.
Great. And if these don't, what'll happen too is if like we can do Tuesday, if there's nothing on Thursday, then we'll skip it or something. Or I can obviously do something.
Clara's asserting dominance.
Yeah,
Anyways.
I think I'm playing
Dominant.
around.
So is Nick in here now? I just sent him
Yeah.
the link again. Oh, so that link works this time?
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Is that Emma?
Yeah. Oh shit.
Emma
Wait.
lives.
Wait. Shit.
How
Oh,
are
I'm
ya?
not muted. Oh, I thought it was muted. I didn't mean to swear. Hi.
How's life?
Not. Yeah. It is what it is.
Dude, look at my cat.
Yeah.
Where? Wait. I can't see like anyone else's screens. I want to see a cat. Hold on. Keep it up there.
Okay, as I was saying, you guys, Emma, I just shared a folder with you of, for final presentations over Zoom. And I also, on Blackboard, for the two of you that just joined, I also recorded this whole thing. So I'll post a video on YouTube if you want to watch this. But the criteria for your final presentations, oh, I'm in the wrong class. How the hell did that happen? Oh, sorry, it's right here. So the final presentations, you can do a 20-minute presentation on Zoom for everybody, or you can write a 10 to 12-page paper as your final. So it's up to you. I obviously, and I think everyone prefers a presentation. So, and again, look on here what you want to, and the cool thing too is that all of this is entirely up to you. Whatever interests you, whatever floats your boat about writing a paper, but again, if you're doing something kind of that's not, if you're not talking about a band or a specific genre or something like that, that's a little outside the box, talk to me about it first, all right? I'm totally flexible about it, but let me know. What's up? Yeah. Okay. So, and we will start those next week. Clara's going first, in fact. Right, Clara?
Yeah, man.
So anyways, and yeah, if these don't fill up, then I mean, like, we might just do one next week and have a couple, I can also post some stuff. I'm also going to be posting a video this week about using and creating noise in your tracks, okay? Because, using ambience basically, right? Because that's kind of what we've been talking about. And did you guys have a chance to listen to those songs that I sent?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of those?
Pretty groovy, man.
I wasn't a fan.
No?
No.
It kind of sounds like the kind of stuff I try to put on when I'm studying, or similar to what I'm trying to put on when I'm trying to sleep, which is never able to sleep.
I personally like the books.
Oh, it's such a good album. That whole album's amazing.
And they're like, I like how they use sampling a lot. They also have another song, and like they created it by going to a bunch of antique stores and finding dolls that had voice recordings, and then they just like recorded those and used it as a sample. And like I like how they use a lot of their stuff is just like instrumentation and like rhythmic work. And I like
Yeah.
that a lot. And then they just use a bunch of like how they build their songs is just by adding different like layers of like kind of different sounds and like vocals and things like that. I don't know. I really like the books. I think they're interesting.
Yeah, this whole album called Lost and Safe, it's 2005, so this might be before you guys were born, but it's an amazing album, and it's really incredible sampling and just beautiful. Yeah, Emma's right. They did all this, like, they're really into obscure recordings. So they would like go around New York City and buy records from just like the most random records they could find, and they sample them in these tracks. And they use a lot of, there's some famous people also in these recordings, like reading poetry or talking. And it's just a beautiful album. Actually, they came to Duke University and performed when I was a student there. It was one of the best concerts I ever went to. It's like multimedia video with electronics. And actually, I was looking into getting them for through Arts We Go, but unfortunately they broke up and they're not touring anymore. So. But anyways, this album, if you want to, it's on YouTube, the whole thing, Lost and Safe, is really incredible. If you kind of like, what I like about this too is that it's kind of quirky, and, you know, they have like, it's electronic music with banjos. It's like really odd, you know? And one of the guys is a guitarist and the other one plays the cello. And that's really the instrumentation, and other than the vocals that they do. So, but anyways, what I love about these songs is the ambience that is really generated from all these very dirty recordings, right? So the recordings have a lot of noise in them, a lot of like, creates a lot of texture in the mix in general. And that's what I really love about those songs. That's another, so I'm going to make a video, on probably tomorrow or Thursday about using ambience and using noise on your mixes, and how you can do that in Logic and also just in general. One of them is using granular synthesis. So you guys have all used granular synthesis before in 206, right? I kind of forced you to use my granulator, you might remember. So one of the easiest ways to create ambience like that is to do, like, have some sort of noise that's repeating constantly, is by creating sounds in a granulator. So that is another thing I recommend. If you are interested in using my granulator, let me know. I can share a folder with you, and you can download. There's a PC and a Mac version now, and there's also now a YouTube video tutorial about using the granulator, if that's something you want to try again, right? Anyway, so I just thought, and this track I think is just so beautiful because of the ambience in here as well. You know, all these, I don't know if you guys listened to this track, this electronic music. What do you think of this? This is a German producer, electronic musician, who uses, or just does these beautiful mixes with, I don't know, it just sounds so cavernous, and it sounds like it really occupies a space, right? There's just a real space in the mix. So what did you think of this track?
I mean, I think it's beautiful, but I listen to a lot of music like this, so.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, it's funny how much this type of sound is used in our mixes, and we don't even think about it, right? At the very beginning of this track, you should listen to it again. You hear all this vinyl sound, right? There's all this like ambience going on in the track, and it's all synthetic, right? Because I mean, most of our recordings now, the sound, if we want to add noise to a mix, we have to literally add noise. Yeah. I think I showed you 1.2, a video of Skrillex. There's a video of him. Have I showed this to you before? There's a video of him talking about this mix of his, or not talking about it. He shows the entire mix in Ableton on his, basically on a YouTube video. So as the song's playing, he's scrolling through this YouTube video. And it's amazing, you look at these track names, that he has literally like 10 or 15 tracks alone that are just ambient sounds, right? And some of the best places to find these sounds are like the sounds of trains and the sounds of, traffic and all these things like that. I don't know if I told you this, but when I was a student at Duke University, yes, I went and stole, I didn't steal, I checked out of the library. There's this incredible library called the BBC Sound Effects Library, and it's thousands of recordings. In fact, there are 2,028 songs on this. Because I checked out, when I was a graduate student, I checked out the 100 CDs we had, and I just literally took them all. And so it's just all stuff like this, right? Ambient noise, and then there's just a lot of other random things that I use for noise making, basically, in my tracks, okay? So it's interesting, and it adds a real dimension to your mix to have these types of sounds in the mix, right? If you're trying to emulate, I mean, that granular sound from white noise or vinyl is a very popular sound, right? And really easy to make. In fact, in Ableton, there's a vinyl emulator. You can also do it in Logic. So I'm going to make a video that explains all that and talks about using this type of sound. You know, when I think about John's music, John Hanover, your stuff reminds me of using more ambient noise in your tracks, because the way you mix your vocals that kind of have this, they're a little bit, it sounds kind of like, and I don't mean this as an insult, but it sounds like kind of like cheap processing in a way, right?
Yes.
It has this kind of
100%.
like rawness to it that makes it sound, it's a really cool, unique sound, right? And
Yeah, thank you.
I could hear you using noise in your mixes, right? Kind of to give them more of that organicness to them.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, this is a really interesting article too. It's really long, but I posted this if you want to take a look at this. But this guy talks about, it's really interesting about, he talks a lot about how the instruments that came to be in the electronic music world, or just in the world of, processed sound, are not necessarily always the best made products ever. It's a lot about marketing, right? I mean, some people invented incredible electronic music instruments in the 70s, but because they were marketed poorly, or the interface with them wasn't intuitive, they didn't work out, right? And then again, remember, everything we do in Logic and in Ableton and Pro Tools is very much emulating those instruments that were invented 30, 40 years ago, right? Even in Logic, we have the retro synthesizer, right? Which is supposed to emulate a Moog synthesizer. We have those same things in Ableton. So much of what we do in a DAW to mix music is based on the traditions of the sounds that were possible with early electronic music instruments, right? And that is really what's defined it. So it's really interesting, this article, as he talks a lot about marketing and the way instruments developed and were invented, and it's fairly interesting, even though it is 40 pages, okay? Lastly, so this Snoop Dogg song, what do you think of this? I like this song.
I didn't care for it.
I didn't listen to it yet.
Very good song. Always slapping.
Such a good song.
It's so different, right? I mean, these three songs are so contrasting. I mean, I don't listen to a lot of rap, but I can appreciate it. But it's also, I mean, really what I'm interested in here is not necessarily whether you like this or not, but just how totally drastically different it is, right? I mean, rap is such a in-your-face presentation, meaning that there's nothing in the distance. There is no reverb and delay for the most part. It's right there, right? And the idea that you get a very dry and a very immediate sound with rap music, right? And I think that is partly about the lyrics needing to be clear and understandable, right? Because that's the most important thing in this music. But also just in general, like there's just not a lot of processing in the mix, right? Another thing too about this is that you'll hear in Snoop Dogg's voice, especially this kind of, they use that, as we talked about the other day, that delay, that very tight delay that just sounds like a multiplication of his voice. And you hear very specific processing in his voice, right? And it's kind of a unique sound. So yeah, and you know, what's funny about this song too is that it's essentially, when you listen to the instrumentation, it's essentially a loop. The entire song is a sample, and then the drums are looped over and over with very minor variation, right? And so the only change, what?
The beat goes hard though.
Yeah, and the only change really is the only thing that really changes in the entire song is the lyrics, right? And there is kind of a chorus to it. But yeah, it's a very dry sound, right? And if you listen to any hip hop and a lot of rap music, it has this type of really, really intricate mix that's really right there. There's not stuff pushed way in the background. You know, this Azalea track sounds like it's, you know, you're in a cave or something, right? It's just a huge cavernous sound. And it's so dramatically different than these other two songs, right? So, anyway, so I wanted to contrast these. That's another thing about, you know, the song from last week that we listened to, this Childish Gambino song. I don't know if you know this song. I think it's really great. But the Brit, you know, he does this thing too, where in the choruses of this song, they have more reverb, and it kind of opens up and sounds more like a large space. And then it kind of it gets tighter during the verses, right? There's less reverb, it's more present and personal. But then there's the big drop in this, like, or the bridge, right? Can you tell me about that? You remember hearing this? Did you guys listen to this? You really should listen to this song. It's really great. Anyone listen to this or no?
Yeah, I listened to it.
Yeah.
We listened to it in class too.
I've also listened to it.
Right. So the bridge has this kind of huge, it's very processed, and then the music like takes on a whole nother kind of, it sounds like a different genre entirely, right? I mean, it sounds like this kind of, I don't even know how to describe it. The bass especially is this kind of overdriven, really intense bass line. So it's really interesting. This last song too, from Broken Social Scene. Anyone know Broken Social Scene? This is a great song too. And what I really love about this mix is just how dirty it is. Like the guitars just sound like they're being sent through the crappiest amplifier you could ever buy, right? And it's interesting because that's kind of the sound they're going for in this mix, is that it sounds like poor quality, right? And a lot of it to that kind of, you know, that lends itself also to us hearing things as being old, right? And so there's a sense of something being recorded a long time ago if it has a lot of grit and dirt in it, because that's the way everything was recorded in the 1950s, right, or before. So it's kind of a nostalgia way of kind of bringing warmth to a sound too, is to take out the perfection in sounds, right? And that's the thing, is that almost everything we do in the studio is the perfect mix, right? The perfect vocals with the perfect microphone, and we do 150 takes to make it just right. And so in the end, we want to do something to make it human again in a way, right? So interesting, in this article too, he talks about the idea of using, you know, about, oh, I'm sorry, it's not in this article. It was about the presentation of music from the other article that we looked at last week. The Poetics of Rock, specifically this section when he's talking about musical performance. And it's interesting because he, you know, basically, I wonder what you think about, you know, there are some people who really, really prize the performance of a recording, right? And we talked about this before a little bit. The idea that hip hop music, for instance, or rap, I'm sorry, not even that, but if you think about, like, you know, any big, huge pop star, right? Everything is super processed and everything is a masterful, I mean, every little thing about it has been tweaked to perfection, or as I've said before, photoshopped, right? And so does that lessen the value, do you think, then of music that is more a natural, like it's a recording of a performance? What do you think?
No,
No?
no.
I think that it's just it just its own thing. I don't think it's any less or more. I just think it's different, and that every type of music has its own picture or painting or story that it's trying to tell, or if that makes sense. It's hard to explain for me, really.
I
Yeah,
feel, sorry.
you can go.
I feel like making it more produced is like an art in itself. So
Yeah, I agree. They're just different, right? It's not the same art. And, you know, the idea that if you're recording a live band, maybe the idea is to capture the live performance so that people can listen to it later, right? You know, when recordings first came out, when the idea of recording sound first came out, people thought, why would you ever want to just listen to a band? Like, you'd want to see them play, right? You know, that's the whole point of like a performance. And so, but quickly, you know, people, we really do like to hear things over and over, right? We like to hear the same. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I've been listening to some music I've heard thousands of times, I can imagine, right? Certain songs. So, you know, is that, I mean, what is the purpose then of a recording, right? Originally, recordings were designed to capture a band or a sound and to re-represent it, replay it, right? But then, yeah, we have a lot of music now that doesn't exist in the real world other than the recording, right? The recording is all there is. And so, you know, but again, like a good example of this too is like someone who has really beautifully mastered albums, but they don't perform live well.
That's where I think like John Bellion comes in when he comes, like, because all of his performance are very like mix heavy, and like he does all the producing on stage during the performance, you know.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
think it's
good.
very important to be
Yeah.
able to perform.
He's very like he has like the little board on stage and stuff, and he's like doing all of the sound effects and samples like while he's like performing, and it's like
Right.
actually
Well, and I played a couple songs from you by Imogen Heap, who I love, but man, she is just not good live.
Yeah.
Like I've seen a couple of videos and she's not in tune, and then she's trying to do samples like you're saying live, and it just doesn't really work. And you know, does that matter though? I mean, should I not really be worried about it?
I actually did a paper on this kind of recently about like in it, like I mentioned how performance makes up about on average about 80 something percent of the top 3 artists of 2019, and then record sales and streaming made up a much smaller percentage. So I think it's extremely important, not only for that it makes up your income, but to show that you can do more than just record, show how you can connect with your audience, you know, and performance is your time to shine, really, I think.
Yeah, but yeah, it's interesting too though, because you know, if you go to a concert with electronic musicians, you know, they might be behind a big mixing board and all they're really doing is DJing their own music. They're not really performing it, right? They may play a melody on a keyboard, but for the most part, they're pushing buttons and turning knobs because their music isn't something that can be played live, right? There's no, unless there's a piano, they might play some sampled stuff. So it's interesting though. I mean, you know, because you'd never, there are certain genres that can't be performed live, right? There is no real live version of something other than firing off samples of the recording in a unique way, which you, like if you go to a concert, you know, of Skrillex, for example, that's what he does, right? He basically just plays arrangements of his songs live, and it's really more a dance club and he's the DJ, right? So it's interesting, you know, it's interesting too, because as the technology gets better and better, I mean, you know, 30 years ago, there was no auto-tune, right? So if you sucked at singing, you just sucked at singing and there was no fixing your vocals. But now we can do all more and more fixing and more cutting and pasting. And I mean, I don't know if you guys know this program called Melodyne. Have you ever heard of Melodyne? It's a plugin for Logic and Ableton, or it's a plugin, VST plugin, that literally allows you to change the notes and to tune notes inside a chord, inside an audio file, you know, which was completely unheard of, you know. So more and more, the representation of an original composition is not realistic, right? Or you just don't know what's reality and what isn't. And so I agree with you, Devin. I think even more and more, it becomes more and more important that you go to a concert and see them make it, right? And it's interesting too, because, you know, 30, 40 years ago, if you wanted to go to a conservatory and play piano, for instance, most auditions were done with tapes, right? You'd send in a recording of your piano playing. But they don't allow that now. It's usually a mixture of you have to come and play live and you send in a recording, because they know that there's so much technology out there that I can fix all my mess ups, right? And so they want to see live, can you really do this? Can you really play the piano? Can you really sing? Or is it just auto-tune that's fixed all your errors? So in some ways it's interesting, because I think I agree with you that it's made the live performance more valuable, right? Because we can trick the recordings more and more, right? The fakery is so good that the live performance becomes more and more valuable. So, but, you know, now we have like real-time auto-tune. You can, you know, you could have a singer on stage with auto-tune playing, like working in real time while he sings.
You can hear that kind of though.
What?
You can hear that though, and I think people who use, I'm kind of biased. I don't really like auto-tune. I mean, I get the people who like they use it like I forgot the rapper's name, but he was in that song "I'm on a Boat."
T-Pain, yeah.
Yeah, he's like one of the people who are known for using auto-tune. And I have friends who are like, well, they use it as a tool, and I still think it's kind of like cheesy and fake
Well,
and
there it's
obnoxious.
being used as an effect, but I
Yeah.
guarantee you, all the music you listen to has some auto-tune on it. I mean, John Bellion is also auto-tuning just to make tiny corrections here and there in his recordings. I mean, it happens everywhere.
Yeah.
So for the most part, again, though, it's like it's being used in those cases to make tiny changes. It's not being used as an effect. You know, what T-Pain is doing is totally different. That's obviously auto-tuned on purpose, right? So anyway, so yeah, and you're right. That's a very specific thing. You know, there's like, isn't there a T-Pain app you can get for your phone? Like it'll T-Pain any sound, any recording you put in it or something like.
No, but I need to get that now.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's a specific thing, but you know, and that's another thing about you know, I don't know how Dan Wood feels about it. You guys should ask him. I'm curious what he thinks about compression. You know, there's a lot of arguments about that compression's overused. And that stuff doesn't sound real because compression makes everything loud and big, you know, even if it's a harp recording or something. So there's kind of like, you know, debates. I think it's a debate too about what the function of a recording is and what the purpose of recordings are. You know, it doesn't bother me at all as I sit here mixing, writing tracks all day that are just in the computer. That's where they live. That's where they, you know, and I'm not really a performer, so I don't want to have to perform anything, you know? So, I don't know.
Is this what the app is called? Veloco?
Veloco, I haven't heard that.
Or auto-tune by Smule?
That's one of them. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I know, I remember hearing about some T-Pain auto thing, so. Oh, John, you're here. Is everybody here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Hello, mate.
Hello, Governor.
Yo, who's that guy behind you, Devin?
You never seen that meme?
No.
Ito!
Is that the? Oh wait, I know who that is. Yo, Paul, have you ever seen that guy before?
Yeah, I've seen that video.
That's the Ligma guy.
He's laughing.
No, that's not the Ligma guy.
He's just
Oh,
laughing.
that's not the. Oh,
No,
wait. Can you describe us who the Ligma guy is?
I don't. I'm already afraid I'm gonna get written up for the last time I did that.
What is happening here?
So we were in ensemble yesterday with Richard Balestra for guitar, and I'm stupid, and he's talking about like how is supposedly getting better. How he had something called lupus or lupin,
Lupus is bad. Yeah.
and he
Yeah,
said
very bad. Very, very, very bad.
he was saying like how it was doing fine as all that, and let me preface by I haven't slept in quite a few
Say it.
days.
Just say it.
So I was just like, oh, sorry, did you say you have lupus? He's like, yeah. I was like, are you sure you don't mean ligma? And he's like, what? And I was like, ligma balls. And I was like, right. And
Asshole.
and everyone made me a hero in the group chat.
Oh my god, that was crazy.
And now I'm afraid I'm gonna get written up or something.
All right, that was a great story. Thanks for sharing. Anyways, I guess that's a good place to stop, though. So, these are just things that I think about a lot when I'm thinking about music. I find this interesting. So, when you're thinking about the mixes you're coming up with, there's just so much that goes into sounds and putting together recordings. So, I will be making a video just talking about using noise in your mixes and creating ambience, and also using noises in synthesizers. So there's often noise generation that you can create. You can use white noise in a synthesizer to generate just to do some things with it. So it's really interesting. And then in Alchemy, you could do some really cool stuff with noise. So I'll talk about that too. And also just use some recordings. Like, I don't know if I told you, but I recently, all the frogs that are going on right now. Oh, so good. So much good frog life right now in the world.
A lot of peepers by Walmart.
Oh, the peepers are amazing. Here's Clara's project, by the way. One of Clara's. Sorry, Clara. Anyway, so yeah, I'm always recording stuff that I want to use in my sounds, and I basically put them. I have a folder of noise that I use. So, all right. So those of you that are just showing up here, we are doing final projects, and they are starting next week. Okay, so if you want to sign up to do a presentation in class, I shared with you a final presentation sign up. So you need to look at this and pick a day to do a presentation. Or please look on Blackboard, and there's also a paper option if you want to write a paper. Okay?
So we don't have to do the final song thing you're talking about?
Final song thing and then I'm talking about?
We had to present a song in the beginning, before when classes were still a thing you were talking about.
Yeah, that's what we're doing online now. We're just going to do it as a group. You will present based off of this schedule for 20 minutes. If you want to know what you're supposed to do, go to Blackboard, because I listed everything here in quite detail. Okay, Nick?
Yeah, you were talking about a performance, like a Logic project.
Oh, that is not happening. No, because too many people don't have. I mean, if you want to send me, some of you have been sending me projects. Evan sent me something. John sent me a project. If you're working on stuff, send me a project. I'm happy to listen to it.
And he'll just never respond back to you ever.
Shut up.
I'm just kidding.
I'll take a listen to it. I promise. I'm sorry. Cool. I did respond to Evan's.
Oh, I feel so much better.
About 206. I actually have Ableton on my computer. Don't ask me how I got it. Is there anything you would recommend to do to learn it? Like any mini tasks? Because we were looking.
I would start watching YouTube videos. That's how I learn anyways. So I can send you a link, of some people that know what they're doing. I think there are some good. I've watched hundreds of YouTube videos on Ableton. That's how I started learning it last year. I could never look at a manual. So, yeah, that's what I would do is start. The first thing is Ableton for beginners, right? Watch some videos of people talking about the basics.
I heard it wasn't really good for producing. It was only for mixing.
That is not true at all. It is by far the most commonly used producer tool. So
Or sorry, I meant Pro Tools, not Ableton.
Pro Tools is best for mixing. It's not great for producing at all. You
Gotcha.
have Pro Tools, not Ableton?
Maybe. I torrented it, basically.
What, Ableton or Pro Tools?
Pro Tools. I couldn't get Ableton.
Oh, okay. Yes, so Pro Tools is not great for production, but it's all, we're going to be learning that starting next week, actually. So
Okay, cool.
All right, you guys. Anyone else have any questions? It's nice to see some of you that I haven't seen in a while. Emma, I'm glad you're alive.
Good to be back.
Yeah. Okay.
Paul, do you want to talk about my topic after this because I'm going next week?
Sure. Yeah. That'd be
Okay.
good. The rest of you need to look at this and decide what you're going to do. For instance, John, if you're going to do a presentation, you're going to have to do it next week.
Okay.
So take a look at the schedule that I just sent out. Anyone else have any questions? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah. This has nothing to do with class, but do you know anything about Nord keyboards, Paul?
No, I know that Rob Aller just got one.
Yeah, I know.
Why? What are you asking about him?
I just said I'm gonna buy one, and I just don't know which one to get.
Oh, I have no. You should talk to Rob Aller
Yeah.
because he did a bunch of research on him, got a grant for one.
Yeah, I know. I got the nicest one.
Yeah, the expensive one. Why do you want that? What do you want a keyboard like that for? Your computer can do all that shit inside it.
Yeah, but it's like it's a really cool keyboard.
The feel, man.
You
It's all
can't
about the
you
feel.
can't perform with like I have the same MIDI keyboard that we have in the MIDI lab, and you can't perform with that. So
You can't ride the
you have a
keys,
laptop.
man.
I have a Roland SP80, which is a pretty
Ooh.
basic keyboard, but it has the weighted keys that you could perform with, but you can also upload your own patches to it, I think. So I think that's probably like a cheaper, better option, because then you could just make your synth patches in your DAW on your laptop and then upload it onto your keyboard and then perform with it there.
well,
much
yeah.
is that?
But part of the reason I like the Nord is it comes with like 2,000 sounds, and then you can download anything online. So it's like a whole other sound library and a keyboard.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure you could get like the Nord sounds online if you just search, you know where to search from.
Yeah.
You should also investigate student discounts on,
Yeah.
because that's a big
Yeah, honestly, keyboards like that are really cool. They're a specific thing. They're usually meant for people that are kind of performing live more often and want to have a self-contained instrument, right?
Yeah.
Like your little MIDI keyboard doesn't have any sounds in it, right?
Yeah.
So it requires a laptop to work, basically. So it really just depends on what you're doing. So those are really cool. I don't know anything about them, but it's funny because I started that way. I had this big monster Roland keyboard that was like had its own sequencer in it and everything. So
Yeah.
but that was 30 years ago, 20 years ago. All right, you guys. So I won't see you if no one signs up. Oh no, if I won't see you on Thursday. Next week we'll start doing Tuesday and Thursday. Okay.
Do you want me to, I don't know, should I move my name back to Thursday?
If you want, it's up to you. And you can. I mean, John, are you planning to do a paper or do a presentation?
Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
I'm going to do a presentation.
Okay. It would have to be on April 21st or April 23rd, or actually there's a spot on April 28th also.
I could do it. I'm ready. So I could do it whenever.
Okay.
I'll probably do it as soon as possible. Is that on Tuesday?
That would be next Tuesday. Yeah. A week from today.
Yeah, that's fine by me.
All right. I'm going to put you on here
Now,
then.
do you need, so is it just like me playing my song and then performing it and playing guitar and then singing it?
No, not at all.
I was
Oh,
gonna
okay.
say,
I
how
have
are
to
you
look at
ready?
it. I have to look at the thing then.
You're actually presenting on some aspect of music or some other artist.
Oh, okay. I saw that. All right.
Right. So look on Blackboard. It's posted right here. It's
Okay.
like, and again, if you want to, honestly, it could be partly about performance. If you wanted to like talk about the use of something and then demonstrate it, and you could, you could use an instrument. So,
Okay.
Like
I could take like somebody's like signature like guitar bend and then demonstrate it, something like that.
Right. And yeah, I mean,
like the way that they use tone and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Read this and then email me if you have questions about it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Anyone else have any questions? Okay, you guys can log out if you want. I'm probably gonna talk to Claire in a minute. If you want to talk to me, I'll still be here for a minute. Otherwise, see you later.
Goodbye.
Oh, I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
If the campus reopens over the summer, how